It's funny how a single night out can turn into something you never saw coming. One moment you're sharing drinks and inside jokes with your best friend, the next you're standing on the edge of a decision that will change the rest of the evening and maybe even how you see each other. I had no idea when we walked into that dimly lit bar that the two men across the room would be the reason my heart would still be pounding hours later. But here we were, caught in a game that neither of us had planned, both secretly wondering just how far it might go. Her breath mingled with mine, warm, close, and a little unsteady from the tequila. Emily leaned beside me, palms flat on the table, her skin glowing in the soft golden light that made her eyes look almost unreal. We locked eyes, and I could see every flicker of heat and amusement dancing across her face. I hadn't expected the night to end like this, me chasing the high, her already caught in it, both of us tangled in something that had started as harmless fun and now felt like it was pulling us under. "They're not going to do it," Emily muttered, arms crossed as she stared across the bar. I followed her gaze to the last two men still sitting there. "They're really holding out," I said, swirling the last of my drink. "They've seen every signal we've given them tonight." She let out a frustrated sigh. "Exactly. All night. And still nothing." I studied them again. Two older men, confident in that quiet, unshakable way that comes only with experience. One was tall, broad-shouldered, his jacket casually draped over his chair. The other leaned back in his seat, bourbon glass in hand, wearing a smile that looked like it had been there for years. "We've smiled, we've lingered," I pointed out. "You even did that thing with your hips." "That's just how I walk," she shot back. Then, with a sly grin, she added, "Okay, maybe it was a little bit of a thing." I smirked. "I think I'm going for the tall one." She raised an eyebrow. "You said you liked the other one." "I said he was handsome," I corrected. She narrowed her eyes. "So what, now I'm stuck with the other guy?" "He's not a backup," I laughed. "He's got that messy charm, like the kind of guy who'd wreck your weekend and then fix it after." Her lips curved. "Looks like he'd apologize with breakfast." We both laughed, still pretending we hadn't been secretly hoping all night they'd make the first move. Finally, Emily pushed her chair back. "Too slow," she said, standing. "I'm done waiting." "So, what's the plan?" I asked. She poured us each a shot of tequila. "No sides, no rules. We play it loose." I grinned. "Worst case, we both end up happy." She gave me a look that was pure mischief. "Please. You'll be lucky if I don't steal both." I grabbed my purse, led the way toward the door, and felt the weight of the moment when I turned the lock behind us. That quiet click seemed to echo like a starting gun. They were still watching us. We didn't just walk, we strolled, slow and sure, like we already knew how this would end. Emily lifted her chin as we stopped in front of them. "Our shift's over," she said smoothly. "Mind if we join you?" The tall one's mouth curved into a grin. "Been wondering what took you so long," he said, offering his hand. "I'm Daniel," I said, sliding mine into his firm grip. "This is Emily." The other man lifted his glass toward her. "I'm Mark," he said. Emily clinked her drink against his and slipped into the seat beside him like she'd always belonged there. "I didn't want to interrupt your rhythm," Mark said. "Oh, we're used to being watched," Emily replied, her voice carrying a hint of challenge. "Just not usually for this long." I sat next to Daniel, our arms brushing, the contact sending a small spark up my spine. "So, you were just going to sit here all night?" I asked him. His smile didn't falter. "I had a feeling you'd come over. And if we hadn't, then I'd still be here." The conversation wound around us easily, voices low, eyes lingering longer than necessary. The occasional touch, fingers grazing a wrist, a knee brushing under the table, built a current neither of us could ignore. Then, in one smooth, unhesitating motion, Emily moved. She leaned into Mark, whispered something in his ear, and he laughed. My pulse quickened, watching them draw closer, their attention entirely on each other. I could feel Daniel's gaze on me, steady and deliberate. The air between us thickened, time stretching. Emily's hand found mine across the table, and she squeezed, a spark of playful challenge in her eyes. Without speaking, we both rose from our seats. It wasn't rushed. It was deliberate. Controlled. Every step forward felt like crossing into new territory we had silently agreed to explore. Daniel and Mark followed, their expressions mirroring the same mixture of curiosity and hunger I knew was written across my face. We ended up standing close, too close for casual conversation, not close enough for what we both knew could happen. Emily brushed past me, her hand trailing along my back, and leaned toward Daniel with a smile. I turned toward Mark, and his hand settled lightly at my waist, steady but unforced. For a long moment, no one moved, and yet everything was moving inside, under the surface. Every glance was a question, every breath an answer. And when the first kiss happened, it was like the night finally exhaled. It wasn't hurried. It wasn't unsure. It was a quiet, steady surrender to the pull we'd been circling all evening. Emily caught my gaze over Daniel's shoulder, her eyes alight with the same thought I was having. This night wasn't going to follow the usual rules. And as the laughter returned, mingling with soft touches and the hum of the quiet bar, I knew one thing for certain. We hadn't just met two men. We had stepped into a moment that would leave us both thinking about it long after the lights came up. So, if you had been there, sitting at that table, feeling that same electric current, would you have hesitated, or leaned in,